the teachers, the staff assistants, the secretaries, and the custodial maintenance staff. So I'm thankful that everybody is here tonight for our forum here on the Meet the Candidates. Before we get started with that, I'd like to thank Chief Heath and Mrs. Heath for helping facilitate the use of the firehouse here, and I think the chief is still parking cars out there. Yes. So we thank him for that. They, I think they got a new truck today, and they're so excited. Yeah, they're out. Yeah, they're out there training on it right now, which is pretty cool. We have some dignitaries in the room. We have Councilwoman Abrahamson in the back there, and Councilman Kelly.
Hi, everybody.
And we've got some board members as well. Board President Salney's in the back. Nancy Cherico's in the back here. And I saw Mrs. Mezek over here. And Mrs. Hellberg over here. And Mrs. Brooks is over there. And now, for the moderator of our event here is Mrs. Stacy, who's going to ask questions of our candidates. And I'd like to bring her up here. And we're going to start with an introductory round. Each candidate's going to get 3 minutes. Then after that, we will ask questions of the candidates. And it will go, Mrs. Shields was selected to get the first question first, and then we will vary who gets the next question. Feel free to grab pizza and water, and whatever pizza isn't eaten by the end, everybody has to stay and eat. Okay? All right.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tanya Shields. I lived in Rockaway Township for over 13 years with my husband and 2 children who are currently in 4th and 7th grade, so I am familiar with aspects of all grade levels in the school district. You may have seen me on the soccer, softball, or baseball fields, cheering on my kids, walking my dog up and down the street after school bus pickup, cooking up some fries at Peterson concession stand, sorting Girl Scout cookies as troop cookie manager, or attending Board of Education meetings for the past few years. This is my 2nd year as Vice President of the KDM PTA, and last year I had the privilege of being selected to be one of the parent liaisons for the KDM safety team. In the past, I have served on the 2013 Strategic Planning Committee and 2016 Focus Group, where I worked alongside other parents, board members, and superintendents. I also take every opportunity possible to participate in presentations made available by various organizations within our school community to gain insight and understanding to matters regarding our schools. The other week, I attended a CPAC meeting, not to campaign, but to get a better understanding of the IEP process. Last year, only 4 parents in the entire district went to hear Mr. McGovern's security briefing. I was one of them. I work full-time as a senior technical vendor manager at AT&T, where I oversee 20 internal applications and over 50 contractors. Making sure things run smoothly, deliverables are met, and people are accountable is what I do on a daily basis. I'm required to be fiscally responsible at my job, a characteristic which I would leverage in my responsibilities on the board. My experience in the business world is a great asset. It's important to have diversity of thought in any group setting so that true progress can be made. I believe if someone had to describe me, they would say I'm quiet, loyal, fair and unbiased, logical, and possess common sense, open-minded, and thankful. And I am thankful. I'm thankful that every night my family has the opportunity to eat together at the dinner table. Thankful to those who help along the way, and truly thankful for the support and kind words I've experienced since declaring my candidacy. I don't have an agenda. I just feel that I'm a great fit through my professional and personal experience to be a productive member of the Board of Education and to do what is best for our children. When I asked my 9-year-old what he would say if someone asked him, why should someone vote for his mom? His reply was, because you're awesome. So thank you very much for your time.
Hello everyone and welcome. I would like to first say thank you to the RTEA for hosting tonight's event. I would also like to thank the Hibernia Fire Department for allowing us to use their facility, and thank all of you for coming out to listen to us this evening. My name is Larissa Smith. I have 2 children at Birchwood Elementary School, a 3rd grader named Hudson and a 2nd grader named Sienna. I am a former special education teacher and general education teacher with a master's in special ed, having around 15 years or so of experience. I also possess a master's in educational administration and supervision with extensive knowledge in this area. I have served as a humanities department lead teacher, running monthly department meetings and coaching teachers. In addition, I have reviewed and recommended district policies for approval by the Verona Board of Ed and was the school improvement panel coordinator, SKIP, running our middle school meetings and sharing feedback with the district's evaluation advisory committee, the DEAC. In 2015, I made one of the most challenging decisions of my life. I decided to resign from my beloved career in education so that I could have more time for my then 2 children. One was in preschool and one was in kindergarten. In addition, I also decided that I needed to help my husband Andrew and his brother Brian with our growing family business. As a result, I also have a myriad of experience in day-to-day small business operations, such as customer and vendor relations, accounts payables, receivables, project management, interviewing employees, just to name a few. I was an exceptionally active volunteer while teaching in both New Providence and Verona public schools. I facilitated a conflict resolution initiative and piloted peer mediation program in New Providence. In addition, I participated in the original decision to implement a strategic plan as a member of the Verona Educational Council around 15 years ago, and saw the successful plan through 3 revisions. I am currently an extremely active school and community volunteer in Rockaway Township. I coach cheerleading, I coach soccer, CCD teacher as well. I am currently the treasurer of the Birchwood PTA, and I've also been very active behind the scenes with the PTA. As I have shown and continue to demonstrate through my commitment to the community, I am hands-on and will give 150% until the job is not only accomplished, but completed in an exceptional manner. Additionally, I have proven that I am also a team player and a problem solver who is not afraid to voice my opinion and advocate for others to ensure that the best and right decisions are being made for all of the children. Thank you very much.
I normally stand up when I speak. So, for all of you that don't know me, my name is Aaron Tomasini, and today I'm here to ask for your trust. I speak from here. I didn't prepare an opening statement that's written. I speak straight out of the heart and tell you, let you in to who I am and why I'm here. My wife Jen and I, we've lived here in Rockaway Township for a number of years. We both are graduates of Morris Knowles High School, and we have 3 wonderful daughters that attend KDM school. Professionally, I work for the Morris County Sheriff's Office as a canine unit supervisor, a detective sergeant. I'm a supervisor canine trainer, and I handle a dog as well. Additionally, I'm part of the Morris County Sheriff's Bomb Squad and Sheriff's Emergency Response Team. Why is that important? I'm a public servant, and I've been a public servant. Additionally to that, I'm a member of the New Jersey Army National Guard. I'm a captain. I just got out of command out in Hackettstown. I've served here at home as well as abroad, both in Afghanistan and in Iraq. I'm a adjunct professor at Centenary University, where I teach sociology, and I really do value education and teaching. It's the key to the future. And as a beneficiary of having a good quality education, I just want to make sure that our kids get the same exact thing. My background, I have an associate's degree in criminal justice from the County College of Morris. I have a bachelor's degree in sociology and psychology from Thomas Edison State University, and additionally I have a master's degree in management from Thomas Edison State University with a graduate certificate, in Homeland Security as well as organizational leadership. I pride myself with integrity, honesty, respect. Everybody has something to contribute. I volunteer. I go out there and volunteer my time because time is valuable and our kids are worth it. I work with the RTSA as a recreation director. You may have seen my emails. You may not like me so much when you see all the ones after this season that have come out with all the cancellations. But I volunteer my time to make sure that the kids have a successful fall and spring soccer season. Additionally to that, I coach both teams for both of my kids. I'm also a division coordinator with the Rockaway Township Softball Association, and I coach both of those teams as well. I constantly try to find ways that I can improve upon myself and show a good example for my children. So ultimately, the reason that I'm running for Board of Education is because I want to help. I want to do the right thing. I believe that I have some good attributes that can help the current Board of Education. I'm a team player, team building. I have extensive experience with conflict resolution, with critical thinking, and I as well have developed policy and procedure, which I continue to do in my full-time profession as well as my guard profession. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here. I look forward to meeting all of you if you don't already know me, and I will remain here afterwards if you'd like to talk one-on-one individually. Because the only way that I can honestly get your true vote is for you to know who I am. Thanks.
Question is for Mrs. Shields. What experience or training in education do you have that makes you qualified to run for a position on the Board of Education?
Thank you. I've been looking at this question for a week, and not to start off on a salty note, but I have to say that I am somewhat offended by the wording of the question. To imply that a qualified Board of Education member must have an education background is small-minded and of a fixed mindset. I worked in the private sector from the day after I graduated from Rutgers University. As I stated before, I oversee 20+ technical applications, over 50 contractors, including database administrators, production support, developers. So making sure, like I said, making sure things run smoothly, deliverables are met, and people are accountable. I have to be fiscally responsible. I deal with budgets on a daily basis. And I just, like I said, I think my work experience is a tremendous asset. I see projects through from system requirements to development, to tests, to implementation, to production. And as I said the other night for those that were at the board meeting, if something goes wrong with a server in California, my hands aren't on it, but it's still my responsibility. It's my people's responsibility. So I have to make sure that things are working every single day. So I think, of a growth mindset, people from all backgrounds is what's gonna make our school system prosper.
My background in education, I'm an adjunct professor. That's about as far as it goes for teaching in the formal setting. However, I do have a true desire to be part of the board. When I look at the definition of what a board member should be, what a board member's responsibilities are, they create policy as well as review policy and implement policy. They evaluate the superintendent. They participate in contract negotiations when applicable. Ultimately, the Board of Education is a diverse group of people that all come together for a common goal for the children, to making sure that the children get what we all want, which is the best. Ultimately, I'm trying to think of the way to word this. Ultimately, although my background is not in education, I have good communication skills, I work well with others, critical thinking and team building, and ultimately where my responsibility lies is to the taxpayer and to those children. So no, I don't have a formal education as far as being a teacher, but I do have some good qualities that can help, I believe, the board.
As far as my education experience, I most recently was a 6th grade mathematics and social studies teacher, implementing the Common Core standards and teaching in a park-like manner so that our students would be able to answer some of the higher order thinking questions that they would be presented on standardized tests as well as in the real world. I have experience also teaching 5th and 6th grade literacy, social studies, science. As I mentioned in my opening statement, I was the World Language Department lead teacher. I have experience coordinating the SKIP, which is the School Improvement Panel, meetings that would go on regularly to help the district move forward, most importantly in our school. I also have experience mentoring novice teachers as well. I always took the time to analyze my test scores and reflect on how I could be doing better, what I could be doing better for my students, and that's how I live my life. I'm a lifelong learner, and I always want to continue to improve things, whether it's me or any of the programs that I'm involved in. In addition, I have experience working within the union as well. I took on position as far as a maternity co-chair, negotiations committee. I also was part of the summative evaluation committee as a teacher. There were many committees that I stepped up to volunteer for in addition to my teaching requirements. And I feel like I want to be somewhere where not only doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I want to be going out of my way to help and go above and beyond to make things better. Thank you.
I don't know. Mr. Thomasini.
Excellent.
Do you believe that our school district should budget to cap? Please explain.
Absolutely. So as far as this aspect, when it comes to budgeting, the budgeting is done by the business administrator and the superintendent combined, and then comes before the board. That's the straight facts to it. Now, I've been on both sides of the table as far as negotiations are concerned. I am a union representative. I'm the SOA president for the Morris County Sheriff's Office. Additionally, I'm also part of the Rockaway Township Library Board of Trustees. So I see both sides. I've seen budgeting where it's done very well, and I've seen budgeting where it's done horrific. Ultimately, budgeting to cap, we budget to need. The taxpayers, we have a fiscal responsibility to them to make sure that we are not draining our resources unnecessarily, but at the same time, we have an obligation to make sure that our children get what they deserve. So ultimately, do I believe in budgeting to cap versus budgeting to zero? As long as the children are getting what they need, as long as the district is getting what they need, and we can provide the explanation to why we need it, that's the balance between having a successful budget and just bad spending.
I have, I guess, a slightly different take. My belief is that the Board of Education should create their budgets solely on the needs of the students, not on a random number like 2%. I don't think that we should always budget to cap, and we must consider the reoccurring costs. In many instances, things such as special education and healthcare are actually increasing at a rate that's greater than 2%, which makes it really challenging for us to meet the needs of the students if we at times don't consider once in a while having to apply for a waiver so that maybe we go above that 2%, again on a needs basis, trying to make sure we decide whatever is best for the students. However, I am extremely aware that we must be fiscally responsible, but at the same time focus on what the kids do need in order to be successful.
Yeah, I agree. There's no cut and dry answer to this question. Myself, I'm a fiscally responsible person. Growing up, my paper route money went right into my savings account, which then helped me with my college expenses. My kids have had a bank account since the day they were born, and I've taken them to the bank with a dollar bill and a deposit slip and showed them how to deposit money. It's impossible to say whether or not I agree with budgeting cap without having more information with what needs to be put into that budget on a specific year. If there's a line item that was brought up that went above the 2% and the board felt strongly about it, then of course we would advocate for it. But like I said, I think without facts and depending on the year and the situation and what is needed for our children, it's really hard to come up with a definitive answer.
What is your understanding of the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, and how will you ensure that all education stakeholders have a seat at the implementation table?
My understanding is that we want to provide opportunities for all of our students to be successful. And if that means making sure that we're differentiating the curriculum and providing academic support, whatever we need to do to help them, those supports should be in place so that all kids can be successful. No matter where they're coming into the particular grade, we need to make sure that we're moving them forward, showing progress or allowing for them to show progress, feeling successful about their accomplishments, and ensure that they move forward.
I think it's just everyone working together, teachers, students, parents, administration, to get the proper tools and resources that our children need to succeed. Being our best selves as parents, and like I said, giving the kids the proper tools and resources is how they can be able to prepare for the future and be successful members of society.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
What is your understanding of the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, and how will you ensure that all education stakeholders have a seat at the implementation table?
Was that a question that was originally derived? Because that's not coming off of what I have.
Was that not on there?
That was not on up there at all.
All right, I apologize, that may have been left off.
I mean, I can answer just to answer it off of a whim. Please repeat it one more time. I'm sorry.
Sure. What is your understanding of the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, and how will you ensure that all education stakeholders have a seat at the implementation table?
Again, I think everybody here has the best intentions for the children. We want no child left behind. We want to make sure that every student gets exactly what they need. Ultimately, again, there's a system of balance that runs within our school district, and we as a community, right? It takes a community to raise these kids and to being successful members of society later on.
Sorry, I was using the wrong document, so I apologize for that.
Mrs. Shields? How important are athletic and fine arts programs, band, theater, art, music, home economics, to the overall success of the educational process, and why? Please explain.
I had my favorite music teacher in the audience. In my house growing up, academics was always first, even though both my brother and I competed in sports and did music as well. But not much has changed. My husband and I feel the same way. And that's not to say that our kids are not involved. They both do sports, they play instruments, they sing. I don't think so well, but they sing and they enjoy it. But schoolwork does come first. On the other hand, though, I do believe that school would be such a sad place without performing arts and without letting children shine on the field. For some students, it's such an important outlet and allows them to express themselves in different ways. And I believe here in Rockaway, we're very fortunate that we have programs like band, chorus, ceramic, and digital art that are included in the daily schedule, especially at Copeland. They're not, some other school districts, you have to come in early or stay late to be a part of such an environment. So it's very important for our children to be well-rounded members of society.
As for me, I definitely think that fine arts are a major part of a child's growth. me being a band player, please don't laugh, I played the tuba. For many, many years, it wasn't the most popular instrument. But participating in the chorus, being part of sports programs, that's what keeps our children from not getting into mischief. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, different children excel at different things. Some kids are really great and they relate to music. Some other kids really relate to sports. So having that outlet, having the ability to be able to go out there and do something that really you can be passionate about and you can enjoy, especially inside of the school setting, is extremely important. And it does help with the academics. It makes our well-rounded student today be a well-rounded person tomorrow.
I also agree that arts education and athletics are extremely important in order to ensure student success. I am definitely in favor of offering middle school sports programs. As we can roll them out, I believe it's cross-country at the moment, and I would love to see more of those opportunities be presented. However, I am also very thankful that we have so many sports programs available, especially at the early ages through the rec department. So I feel like it's not an area that we are lacking in the town, but I would eventually love someday to see us expand our sports programs at the middle school level as well. As far as fine arts, music education, I am very well aware that research has shown that arts increases student engagement. It's a key factor in addressing major educational challenges. It helps to close the opportunity gap. It helps reduce the dropout rate. It prepares more students for college eligibility, and it helps students to develop creativity needed for the 21st century workplace. I have also taken the time to complete a survey that I received back in September, and it's called the New Jersey School Board Candidates Survey, which is from Arts Education Now. And you can actually go on and see the website to see what my responses are. I had a very fortunate experience when I was teaching in Verona. We had a phenomenal music program there, award-winning. I had to see firsthand how my middle school students developed the desire and perseverance to succeed. They learned to manage their time effectively because they were actually getting pulled out of the classes sometimes, and they were having instruction in the morning as well as a zero period. They gained confidence in themselves and their abilities, which is a great challenge for many middle school students. It is obvious to me that there is a positive correlation between fostering the engagement of young musicians and their success both inside the math and literacy classrooms, as well as outside of school. The passion these music arts students demonstrate teaches them with enough hard work that they can do anything they put their minds to and be anything that they want to be.
That's time.
Got it, all right. That's off, I'm sorry. Those of you that know me. I like the Jeopardy music. Then I have to stop. Yes. Sorry.
What do you see as the top 3 education issues that our board must address?
So as far as our current board, I think the Board of Ed right now is doing a good job. Ultimately, we can always advance on and making sure to focus on our academic success. I think that we, again, over this past year, are doing very well, but that can always be assessed at any given time. Additionally, a big priority of mine is security, safety and security inside of the schools. And that's both physical and emotional. Anybody who knows psychology and knows Maslow's hierarchy of needs, people learn in an environment where they're safe and comfortable. If the kids are not safe or they don't feel safe, or they don't feel comfortable, they're not learning anything, and we're not moving forward. So ultimately providing them that safe environment to be able to go to school every day. And again, we send our children off to school in trusting that the professionals at the school district are going to take care of them. I just want to make sure that, again, I can maybe add to that and make sure that the kids are safe. Addition to that, it's on every taxpayer's mind is fiscal responsibility. We always have to be doing a checks and balances to make sure that what we are spending is needed and required. Again, we want the best for the children and to make sure that they have the best, but at the same time, we have to make sure that there's an even balance between giving them the best and making sure that the taxpayer is not completely drained.
I see as the top 3 education issues that our board must address, and I know that there are challenges for many boards of education. Preparing our students for the 21st century workforce and the jobs that don't yet exist. As a teacher, I used to show my 6th graders a video called Did You Know? And it started at 2.0. I don't know how far it's gone at this point, but it was a YouTube video that in essence taught us that we were preparing our students for jobs that didn't exist yet, which is a kind of scary thought, because they were going to be doing, they were going to be participating in careers and doing things that we were not even able to anticipate when they were in the 6th grade. And that, I feel like, is a great challenge. As well, I feel like it's very necessary for us to focus more on safety, security in terms of both the climate, the culture, and the facilities. I'm aware it's around 20% of school violence issues occur from intruders coming into the building, versus around 80% that involve someone that is actually supposed to be there in the building, or a student that may have been permitted to be on the premises. So I feel like we should address both the climate, culture, provide mental health supports as needed. And then finally, I agree with Aaron that making sure that we have not only adequate funding, but that we are also able to be fiscally responsible when we're doing our budgeting. And we of course would want to give our kids everything we could, but we know we have constraints and we have to answer to the taxpayers. So it's very important to find that balance.
I know I started off a little salty with the first response, but I really am a glass half full kind of gal. So I don't really want to point fingers and make a laundry list of negatives. I'm very excited about the new administration and the changes that have already been implemented. I think it's important to have open communication. I love the idea of the teacher think tanks and having all the grade level teachers from all the schools meet together to discuss ideas. I think it's important for continual education. Times are moving so quickly that a college degree is only relevant for 5 years after graduation. I go through significant hours of training every year at my job to stay current and advance myself. Giving our teachers and our students the proper tools to succeed is of the utmost importance. As I mentioned, I went to a CPAC meeting the other week because they were hosting Sandra Gogarty, who's a county supervisor of child study, to discuss the IEP process. And the reason why I went is because I want to be familiar with that process and want to gain an understanding, which I feel I would need if elected. And a few things I took away from that is that all parties need to work together, parents, teachers, administrators, to find a solution that's best for each student. She also mentioned the importance of general ed teachers differentiating in their teaching. Our kids are not one size fits all, and it's important to plug into each student and find out what works for them.
What changes do you hope to bring about?
I currently see the foundation of the schools coming together with the new administration, and I want to help foster student-centered education through even more meaningful and differentiated learning experiences and curricula that will best prepare all of our children for a dynamic future. I look forward to promoting an even safer, healthier, and more inclusive school climate, continue to improve access to mental health resources, increase our ability to meet the needs of our students with special needs, and of course, make sure that we're able to provide our teachers with the training that they need in differentiation. I would also love to explore options for increasing the security of the Rockaway Township Public Schools, whether it be through Class 3 officers, the vestibules that could potentially be put in at each of the buildings to help keep the students and faculty even more safe.
As I just stated, I'm very excited about the new administration and that has been put into place and working with them. And with the changes that have already been put into place and all the ideas that are being discussed, I'm so optimistic about the future of our district and of our children. I think we need to continue to support our team that's in place, both teachers and administrators, and make sure they have the resources and backing that they need.
So for this question, because I believe it's looking for if there's problems. And ultimately what I hope is to continue to support the goals of the district, ultimately. But I wouldn't be true to myself and I wouldn't be being fair if I was to come in here and say things that are going wrong without knowing the full amount of information. Again, being an individual who's educated, we want to have all the facts before we make any kind of opinion on what's being done right or done wrong. However, there are a few things out there that I do believe that I would like to again, oversee and be able to be a part of. And like I said before, that safety and security of the schools, I agree with Larissa that it's got to be a top priority. So that's something that I definitely could see as being a positive situation that we could bring to the district.
What are your views on standardized testing?
I think we can all say growing up, we didn't like standardized tests. My children don't like standardized tests. But as the title states, we need some type of standard to which we can measure our kids' progress. I don't believe that standardized tests have to narrow the curriculum, rather can put focus on important basic skills all students need to master. Testing is a normal and expected way of assessing what students have learned. And I also know Common Core is a bad word for many people. But I have to say, there's some facets of it that I really appreciate, as like the critical thinking aspect, taking a deeper dive, relating things to everyday life and delving into the how and why, and not just rote learning. I believe it's critical for our children.
So I could very easily sit there and say standardized testing again as a kid, didn't like it, but that really doesn't help anything, because ultimately it's dictated by law whether or not we're going to do standardized testing. One thing that I can say with it is that I'm not a fan of, is when we constantly are trying to prep children just for standardized testing and nothing else. Ultimately, again, we're trying to create thinkers, not people that can just regurgitate information out of the book. So if we're constantly worried about doing only standardized testing and nothing else, then are we really getting anywhere with the kids? Additionally to that, I will say there has to be some form of objective testing process, so that way we can make sure that our children are evaluated correctly. Subjective means when a person is involved in anything, at times maybe we're not getting that baseline that we need to make sure that we're doing things correct. So there is a place for it, but it's dictated by the law, so we're kind of stuck.
So I guess I was the one that really liked to take standardized tests, just like I was the one that liked to write and read policies. So I know that's not the norm, and I'm very understanding of that, for most of the people. So I always tried to make it as fun as possible, and would, pump the kids up the week before with different songs from Rocky, whatever we could do to get them excited for the torture they would soon feel. I do believe that standardized testing is necessary as a means so that we do have some sort of uniform measure to compare student growth. I am aware, and I had attended a recent park parent forum where I had the opportunity to share feedback, concerns, suggestions, and also anything that was positive about the assessment so that the state could improve what they're doing. I do appreciate the higher level thinking. I appreciate tasks that have an infinite number of answers, and I think the students benefit from having new experiences, but I do believe that they have to be more valid, and that was some of the feedback I provided. When standardized tests are being used in conjunction with grade-lark benchmark assessments and or teacher-created common assessments, as well as projects, portfolio assessments, exit tickets, etc., it will really better help the teachers inform instruction as well as the administration. I always did feel that as a teacher, the more data I could gather to drive my decision-making, the better. However, standardized testing is just one measure, and until it is executed well, I cannot hold it as much weight as actual student academic progress and growth. Thank you.
This is Shields going.
No, I started that one.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Mr. Thomas.
Okay, I can adapt.
What can the board do to provide opportunities for staff development?
So for me, I think, again, personal growth and development is extremely important in any job, no matter where you are. Everybody's constantly looking for a way to strive, to do a little bit more and be a little bit better. And that's, if anybody's ever heard the phrase before, if you're not growing, you're dying, it's one or the other. You know, so having that opportunity to be able to grow and to gain more knowledge, it's just imperative. And myself, I like doing that, so I'm sure the staff likes to do that as well. However, as a governing body, we have to, again, take the balance between giving that professional development and the fiscal responsibility of the district. Sometimes we don't always think of personal development coming from within our own. One of the nice things that I like seeing at the recent Board of Education meetings is that now with our Google Learning, is that Google Learning is continuing to move forward, and it's being taught by people that were taught here. You want to talk about personal growth, learn something, and then go teach your fellow teachers that.
I think that the board should definitely consider conducting some sort of needs assessment to gather information from what the teacher's feedback is regarding the administrator's feedback regarding what more they're looking for as far as professional development. Obviously, the professional development will also be based on whatever the district's goals are, a teacher's performance in a certain area. Some teachers may need professional development in one area and others may need professional development in others. Also allow for the teachers to share what they are looking for in their professional development. It should definitely be meaningful and supported, and they should have experiences that are tiered based on ability, similar to what has been started recently with the Google Classroom training. Allow for these teachers to try for new strategies in the classroom and reflect on their experiences and feel safe about doing it. I would encourage administration to allow collaboration and PD opportunities during faculty and our department meetings. And I feel like at some point in the future, I would love to explore forming a professional development consortium with some of the neighboring Morris Hills sending school districts that would possibly allow for teacher choice of professional development opportunities and at the same time sharing resources to help us be a little more fiscally responsible. Thank you.
It's important that our teachers continue to grow and develop. I don't think there's anyone that would disagree with that. High quality, relevant, and timely professional learning experiences, both individualized and collaborative, are integral to the education life cycle and necessary for continued professional growth. And it's obvious, the more the teachers know, it trickles down to our children, and that's why we're all here, is for what's best for our kids.
Do you believe that parents and teachers should play an important role in decisions regarding curriculum development and implementation? Please explain.
Yes, I do believe that teachers will play the greatest role in this, but I also feel it is important to include feedback from parents, possibly on some sort of curriculum council, or if there's a strategic plan in place, the curriculum action committee. It would be important to have these parents and teachers, administrators involved to make informed decisions and also encourage ownership and buy-in from all, not just the teachers, but the parents as well. The more the parents understand the shifts in curriculum rigor and how challenging the new standards have become, the better able they will be able to support their children at home.
My answer is going to be kind of short. I know we already have qualified administrators and teachers that do just this, implement curriculum. So I can't reiterate enough, and my whole, not tagline because I don't like that word, but it's just teamwork, and it's through teamwork that we'll succeed.
So I think this comes back to communication and trust. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, the reason that we hire administrators inside of the school district is because they're subject matter experts that have the ability to create a proper curriculum for our children. If they can't communicate what their thoughts are, well, then that's a problem. For me, the way that parents can be involved with curriculum development is just by, again, having dialogue with the administrators inside of the school district, and those administrators being held to a standard by the superintendent and ultimately through the evaluation of the Board of Ed.
and/or parents have concerns and the administration is unwilling to address these concerns or to bring them to the attention of the board, what means could the staff use to acquaint the board with these concerns?
Okay. I know there are already district policies in place, policy number 3340, if anyone wants to look it up on the Board of Ed website, to follow the proper chain of command for teacher grievances. If after going through all the levels and the teacher's still not satisfied, they can appeal to the board in writing. For parents, I believe it's important to follow the proper chain of command as well. First going to the teacher/staff member most intimately involved with the situation, and then working their way up the ladder if they're not satisfied.
So my answer is pretty much straightforward as well. I understand the chain of command pretty well. I'm stuck to it in multiple ways. Ultimately, what it comes down to it is, again, it goes back to communication and having responsibility. If a parent or staff member is dissatisfied by the answer that they've been given, or if they believe that they're being treated unfairly, then that is why we have the next level up as far as the chain of command goes. And that goes all the way up to the board. So ultimately, when parents or staff members are not satisfied with what they've been provided, or if they don't believe that somebody is doing something correctly, if they follow that process, which we currently have in place, then there's always going to be a way for information to get where it needs to go.
And I also agree that we must follow the ethical procedure. However, if there's an emergency and something isn't getting addressed, it may need to be the case and that it's brought to the board member's attention and the superintendent be notified. Again, if it's a dangerous situation and it needs immediate resolution. I'm definitely aware that there's a chain of command for most concerns other than the emergencies I just mentioned, and it must be followed, and the staff member or parent doesn't get their dispute resolved by the administration, they then should take their concerns once they've gone all the way up the proper chain of command to the Board of Education. And it is important for the Board of Ed not to get involved in minor issues or every complaint or dispute, but rather they need to ensure that there is that process in place to address concerns. However, if someone did reach out to me personally to ask, my response to them would be, have you followed the proper chain of command, and guide them through that procedure if that hasn't already been done.
Okay, this is going to be the last question.
Okay.
Even though hiring is the responsibility of the board, should staff members and parents play a role in the screening process for selecting new administrators?
No, they shouldn't. Ultimately, again, the reason that we hire a superintendent is because they're a subject matter expert of their field. Ultimately, anybody that knows chain of command understands that you can delegate authority, you cannot delegate responsibility. If the superintendent chooses his or her administrators, that responsibility of making sure that they pick the right people falls on them. So if there's an administrator that's out there that is not performing the job correctly, we hold the superintendent accountable. And that goes all the way down the chain. So no, I don't think the parents should be part of that process. Where the parents come into play, again, is electing the right people into the right position, which then represent them on the Board of Education. And then that comes back to where the parents drive the policy on where they believe the school should be going, which we then create that policy to lead the superintendent to get us where we need to be. And if they don't do that, then we evaluate them properly.
I recently had the opportunity to be a part of the interview committee to find the new principal at Birchwood. And I feel very valued that I was invited to participate as a part of that. The group consisted of, it was actually a rather large group, a number of teachers, administrators, and there were 3 of us parents who were included in the process. Although we were part of the process of the screening and were able to provide our feedback, make suggestions to the superintendent, ultimately the decision was up to the superintendent and then obviously getting approved by the board. I do feel though, having all of us stakeholders be a part of this process really helps us to buy in and to understand that we are valued, and it does take a village in order for us to be successful whether it's hiring, caring for our kids. Thank you.
I have to say, agree in the initial phase that parents should be involved. So far as a parent in this district, my children's elementary school has had 4 principals, and we're on our 3rd superintendent. And this is in a span of 8 years. So I feel the pain, but I do believe the community should be able, I do believe the community should be involved in the end phase. Like there was a few times with this new superintendent, even with our principal a couple ones ago. We were brought in when the final 3 to ask questions, and I did appreciate that and found it very informative.
Okay, time for closing statements.
Oh, okay, no problem. I'm sorry, it's like a court proceeding. I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to that part. So I'll make my closing statements short and sweet. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, if you don't know enough about me or you don't know who I am, then please ask. I would be glad to speak with anybody and tell you where my stance is and how I feel. I'm an open book. I have no problem answering questions, and I will tell you, like I said during my initial statements, that I pride myself with being a hardworking individual with respect, caring, and ultimately wanting a strong desire to make sure that our children do get the very best.
Just because I happen to be a model teacher is not why you should vote for me. According to every one of my former bosses, colleagues, the world language teachers whose department I oversaw, my former Board of Education members, as well as the Rockaway Township community members, parents, my children's teachers, etc. I am known for my professionalism, unrivaled work ethic, and problem-solving abilities, as well as my communication and listening skills, willingness to help anyone, and especially my follow-through. I have never lost focus on students and what is best for all of them, nor will I. My signature is that every organization I have become a part of or have contributed to has grown and has been left in a better place than before I came on the scene. I am very contemporary. Things we were doing 10 years ago in Verona, I'm now seeing us start to do here in Rockaway, and I love seeing the direction we're going in. I definitely see the foundation of the Rockaway Township schools coming together, and I want to collaborate to get all of our schools to be exceptional. I not only understand the parent piece, but I understand educationally what the students need in order to be successful citizens in the real world, which I get to see in our own business. Let my experience, my passion, my diligence, and my love for everything education work to build great schools for the future of our students. Our children deserve the best possible education, and our community deserves the best possible schools. I eagerly anticipate the opportunity to represent and serve you as a member of the Rockaway Township Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to thank the RTEA for hosting tonight and for all of you for coming out. I know how valuable your time is. I just want to reiterate my years of dedication and involvement with the school district, and being elected to the board will allow me to continue to do this at a more in-depth level. I'm a person that's able to assess a situation by taking the time to listen to all sides of an issue in order to make an educated decision for the best possible outcome. Healthy and constructive debate is how we continue to grow and persevere. I appreciate your consideration on Tuesday and hope you use your 2 votes for the 2 candidates that you think will do the best for our children in the district. Thank you.
So I'd like to thank you all for coming out. This was a pretty extensive job interview for a job that demands long hours and 0 pay. So, and I'd also like to thank Mrs. Stacy for moderating. And polls are open from 6 to 8 on Tuesday. It's a very important election. So thank you to you all again. Thank you to the candidates. And there's pizza.